Hey everyone, welcome back to GoneDrivin. For this week's video, I'll be looking at the 2022 BMW X330i LCI. So this is the refreshed and updated X3 for BMW's best-selling SUV. So if you enjoy watching this video, make sure you hit the like button, and of course, there's more content on the way with many different cars, so make sure you subscribe to the channel. And of course, a special thanks to Denver at Parkview BMW for hooking me up with this X3 today. If you're in the market for a new or a used BMW in the Greater Toronto area, make sure you hit up Denver. I'll leave his contact information down in the description below. The 2022 BMW X3 LCI will be coming in three variants for this year. It'll be coming in the xDrive 30i, which will be starting at $56,000 with the same powerhouse of 248 horsepower four-cylinder engine. Then we've also got an electric option, a plug-in hybrid, which is the xDrive 30e, which will be around $58,000. And then we've got the X3 M40i, which is starting at $71,000. The beefier engine, the six-cylinder, the more powerful X3 available as well. So like I mentioned earlier, this is the LCI, which means the life cycle impulse. And BMW likes to do this with all their products from time to time, usually in the middle of their product cycle. So the X3 here, this is the third generation X3, and it's right in the middle of its life cycle. So BMW decided to change a couple of things from the exterior, the interior, and that's about it. And we'll be looking at those things today. All right, so looking at the front of the X3 first and focusing on the grille, here we've got a newly redesigned kidney grille. Compared to the last one, this is obviously a little bit bigger, and these are, I believe, active flaps, so they adjust based on how much cooling is needed into the engine. I really like this new grille, no complaints whatsoever. We've also got this little black bar here, so this is where your camera will go for your 360 camera if you do opt into the package, and overall just a very solid front grille. Alright, and now looking at the headlights here, these are very nice, very sharp and angular, I like that. And also you can spec them out with the BMW laser light feature, which is very nice. If you want to shell out some extra dollars, I do recommend doing that. It kind of reminds me of the X5, the headlights are very similar, and these do have the adaptive LEDs as standard. And then for the overall front bumper, this is also newly designed for the LCI. We've got these very sharp lines here on either side. This was not in the previous model of the X3, so that's really nice. Looks a lot more sporty. I know people have had their mixed opinions on the front, but I actually don't mind it. And we've got these vents here. They actually have no purpose or no aerodynamic use for them, but they are still there. It makes the car look a little bit more sportier. And then we've got this nice little bottom portion, bottom lip, if you want to call it, on the X3. This is silver, which I do not like. I wish they could change that, but I know if you get the M Sport package, it does change. From the side of the X3, we've got these 19-inch rims here, as opposed to the 18-inch rims that were in the previous X3, which looks very nice. And I also like the fact that BMW is offering actually a lot more wheel and rim options to consumers, which is a very, very good decision. And then moving on here, we've got the same exact vent from the previous generation. Nothing really changed there. The same exact silver lining. And we've got this matte black finish here for the B pillar. I actually noticed in the previous generation, or the last X3, it was actually finished in a gloss black. Now it's finished in a matte black, but overall everything else pretty much remains the same. Alright, now looking at the X3 from the back, we've obviously got these newly redesigned taillights for the 2022 X3. They've been the center of a lot of controversy and a lot of discussion. People don't necessarily like them or hate them, so let's have a look and see what's going on with them. So focusing in on here, we've actually got this new tinted look here. So both of the taillights are tinted here as opposed to the previous X3, which I personally don't have an issue with. And then we've got these very sharp angular lines for the LEDs. Looks or resembles quite a bit to the 2 Series, the new 2 Series that's out. If you haven't watched my video on that, make sure you go do that. Shameless plug, I know. We also got these reversing lamps, and then we've got the turning signals. It resembles quite a bit to the previous X3, obviously, because they couldn't make a lot of different changes. But it's a tasteful change, and I think I can get behind it. And then looking at the little spoiler here, if you want to call it a spoiler, I noticed that BMW actually made this a little bit shorter than the previous generation. So I'm guessing that's just all in part of making the car look a little bit more sportier and aggressive. Not really any other purpose behind it besides the fact that it just looks a little bit more cleaner, I would say. All right, now looking at the rear bumper of the X3 here, it reminded me quite a bit of the new X5. I think that's all in part of BMW trying to synchronize and make all their SUV products similar to each other. But it looks really nice. Again, my concern has been with the silver portion here. I don't like it. I really wish they could match it with the body paint, but it is what it is. We've also got these trapezoid shaped exhausts here. The right one's fully functional. The left one only turns on based on fuel efficiency. And then we've also got this deflector here added to the rear bumper, the X3 and the xDrive 30i badges. So overall, the rear portion of the X3 hasn't been changed all that much, besides obviously the taillights controversy. And I really like that. I think people went with a safer route, and that's really nice. Alright, sitting inside of the 2022 X3 now, and there are a couple of different changes and different things that I noticed that BMW did in this car, with the first thing being the screen here. So now, to my knowledge, the X3 comes standard with a 10.3-inch touchscreen and then an optional 12.3-inch. So this is the 12.3-inch screen. Looks very nice, very, very good. I think when it comes to infotainment screens, BMW is one of the best, and I think other manufacturers can take a lesson from that. Very easy to use, touchscreen, obviously, as I said earlier. You can also control it with the control knob here, which is very nice. The navigation is very quick, although wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are both available in this car as well, which is very nice. And then speaker system in this car is very good as well, pretty much remains the same. You can obviously get the optional speakers, but I don't think that's really necessary. And then moving down here, we've got the new climate control functionality for the X3 actually, but this is pretty much identical or the same as the 3 Series and the 4 Series. Obviously, BMW is trying to streamline a lot of their interiors, and this is just an example of that. So pretty much the exact same here. Very nice of them to use buttons still. I know we're going into an era where touchscreen, everything is the next step. So I'm happy that BMW still uses climate control buttons as opposed to having it on the screen. And then for the media interface here, we've got pretty much the exact same interface that we've been seeing in a lot of different BMWs for many years now. I have no issues with it. I love the premium volume knob here, very nice. And we've got 2 cup holders here, fit for 2 medium-sized cups. There are no heated or cooled cup holder features in the X3. I know that's an option in the X5, but in the X3, I don't believe they have that. Please let me know in the comments below if I'm incorrect. And then also you've got some space to put your phone here. There's no wireless car charging mat anymore in BMWs. I'm not sure why BMW decided to phase it out. Either that's because of the supply chip issue or they just decided not to. I really like that feature and I really hope that BMW can bring it back sometime in the near future. And then as for the driver's side area here, we've got a steering wheel that pretty much is identical, remains the same from the previous X3. The gauge cluster, on the other hand, is actually different. So you can get the fully digital Live Cockpit Plus. It looks very nice. I've seen it in other vehicles, and it's pretty much the same in this car. This X3 specifically doesn't have it because it's not equipped with it, but still very nice. So this is what you get in the base or minimally equipped X3. So we'll start it up here. Also, the start button is right over here in the bottom, as opposed to being on top or on the side here. So we'll start it up. And we've got our middle portion to be digital, obviously, and then we've got the speedometer area, which are obviously also digital, but it just looks quite conventional. And pretty much besides that, there's not many changes to the driver's side area. We've also got a little bit of a different LED lights on the left here. So one thing that I did notice with these ones is it's the exact same as the X5. So with the X5, I did speak about it in my review of the X5, so make sure you watch that video as well. Let's say you open this door here or any of the other doors, at nighttime especially, the LED lights will flash red to warn other pedestrians and other bicyclists on the road that your door is open, which is very nice. And then for the infotainment control section area here, this is pretty much taken out of the 3 Series, the 4, the X5. We've also got a brand new gear shifter for the X3, but this is pretty much the same on the X5. No crystal shifter option. It would be nice for BMW to add that on to the X3. I think a lot of people might take that. Pretty nice. And then we've also got the parking button here, as opposed to being in the actual lines for the gear. So to use it, it's pretty easy. You put your foot on the brake, press the button on the side, and then you're into drive. You can go into neutral, reverse, and then obviously to park, you just press the button here. And then we've also got our buttons here for the driving modes. We've got Sport, Sport Plus, Comfort, Eco Pro, Auto Hold, your handbrake, your traction control, your engine start stop buttons here now, as opposed to being on top. Again, pretty much the same as the 3 Series, and then the button here, or the rotary knob, for your infotainment and media area. And another new feature in the X3 is the fact that you can now put your keys and walk away from the car and it will lock the doors, or if you come to the car, it will unlock. It's a very nice feature, and the X3 didn't have it till now. The X5 had it for a little while, the 4 Series had it. It's a pretty convenient feature. I think a lot of customers will enjoy that. Alright, so currently driving the 2022 BMW X3. I wasn't planning on driving this car, but then I figured why not just do a little clip of me, driving around and see if there's anything really different about the overall experience. Right from the start, I think the first thing is obviously the screen. That's the biggest thing and the biggest change of the interior. I love it. The 12.3-inch screen I think is adequate. It's more than enough. The graphics are amazing on it. Again, as I mentioned earlier, the actual interface and the touchscreen response time is absolutely amazing as well. So no complaints with the screen whatsoever. Some people did say that the screen might be too big, it might not be functional, but I think for me, the 12.3-inch screen for this X3 and the interior space that you have is adequate. In terms of the overall driving experience, Like I said, I didn't plan on this being any different than the previous X3. I mean, it's the same powerhouse, the same 4-cylinder engine. So what else? What could change? I didn't think a lot would change, but when I started driving this car, and I put it in manual mode just for a brief second, and I realized the transmission felt a lot more snappy. And I think what BMW did was that for this LCI model, they refined the engine a little bit more because it drives and just off the throttle response even, it's very quick and very easy here. So we'll go out on the open road and we'll see how it handles. So I'll floor it here, and it's in Sport Plus with the manual mode. So the transmission itself felt quite snappy. Like when I drove it the first time, I was like, there's no way it's gonna do really well because it's a 4-cylinder 248 horsepower engine. But it actually surprised me. So if you are thinking about how it drives, I would say there's no complaints with that either. I mean, the previous X3 was a little bit laggy with the actual paddle shifters, but these ones, pretty good. In terms of my thoughts about the driving experience in the 2022 X3, it was a pretty brief drive. I didn't plan on driving it, but nonetheless I took it out for a spin just to see how it is, and it's amazing. If you're really in the market for a good daily driver, a solid one, compared to the GLC or the Q5, I would prefer to take this one here. It's very comfortable. The prices are pretty much identical to each other, so there's not really much of a difference there. But I think it just comes down to the design and how you want to obviously option out the car. I do know that there's a lot more options and features offered with the X3 compared to the GLCs or the Q5. So that's I think one advantage. And with that, my brief overview on the 2022 BMW X3 LCI comes to a conclusion. If you enjoy watching this video, make sure you hit the like button, and of course there's a lot more content on the way, so make sure you subscribe to the channel.
I just like the sound of it.
Knew everything, I got it unlocked. Everybody acting what they not. You looking for somebody, girl, you lost. It's love, Fredo, don't you look into the pot. I upgraded everything, got it unlocked. Take a step back, just give it a